Hello, gentlemen. Thank you so much for the opportunity to address you a couple weeks ago. That was really helpful. Especially appreciated the input in terms of how the practice was viewing itself with respect to its marketplaces and how it was being perceived. What I ultimately drew out of that conversation was that there seemed to be a gap between the reality of being better trained, having better positions, having more resources, and what the general perception of that was online in some other parts of your marketplace. So I believe that what we're going to do is we can close that gap and start to turn maybe what's perceived as a weakness into more of a strength of the practice. So what I've done is I have an overview of an updated version of our recommendations. The original recommendation that we did is right here. And so you have this email in front of you. If you click right here, then you can quickly go through and find areas that you have an interest in. I'd encourage you to go through and take a look at it. It's only 20 minutes, and if you're on the marketing committee, and this was done maybe almost a year ago, this will give you, I believe, the best understanding of what's going on and how you fit with the marketplace. And I give very concrete examples, including examples from where you've been on the website, including like Dr. Andrew right here. So that would be my recommendation to proceed. You can click here and then you can see our data from the past. You'll see that we've had very strong, consistent increases in performance in terms of visitors, in terms of number of people that go to the website and watch the videos. A couple of quick examples. St. Pete Urology, this was their very first year, and you can see it started very flat and then it bumped up the second quarter and increases steadily over time. Perhaps a better view is quarter over quarter. You can see the large jumps as we get more data over time. And this is also very helpful for Richard understanding how to focus and target investments online. It gives him some real good understanding on how to make this work strategically for the practice. The other practice that we have more data for in the Florida area is Bay Surgical, and you can see the very first quarter. This is site visitors for Bay Surgical. You can see the very first quarter it's almost double in the most recent quarter. It's been very consistent going up. You can also see the phone calls. We have tracking phone numbers, and the idea is not only to drive site visitors, but to convert that traffic into calls to the practice. We do that several ways, increasing the number of visitors, but also in creating multiple ways that people can contact us online. Here are the phone calls quarter over quarter, and then you can see site visitors, and you can see YouTube views. And the YouTube views have been driving a lot of the traffic. The quality of the content just makes an enormous difference, and you can see here there's good content, and it's also targeted. We are focusing on certain kinds of procedures that the practice is interested in. The rest of this proposal is really kind of an amendment to this, but just quickly, there is an interesting opportunity in that Google changed their algorithm end of last year, but more importantly is that there's very clear data now in terms of how to optimize for Google and some of the other search engines. And this is just some kind of information showing you how older people specifically are being much more influenced by what they see online, including their caregivers. So this is really an essential strategy. And then I would lay out 4 different areas that we should focus on. First area, and I always go to this because to me this is too important to not make the number one priority. We want to make sure we're protecting your online reputations. It gets increasingly difficult as more and more people go online and as more and more people want to voice their opinion. And then you can see this is a little bit of data. It's hard to see, but what you would see if you blew this up, the most common searches on our website, on the main website that I've been tracking, the physician's name and physicians in general. And then you can see right here some of the data. Here's Dr. Andrew, and unfortunately, if you go online, a lot of the data and the content that's provided by Google and the other third parties just don't have the content that they would like to have, and so people aren't getting information. So unfortunately, they have to go to other third parties, which we would prefer they didn't. Comprehensive online strategy, and here I really just focus on the fact that what we want to do is make sure there's not this misunderstanding of what's happening online. I did, after our meeting, drive to some of these different areas, and Dr. Sanders was right. There's a lot of conflicting information in websites and very confusing to me, and if it's confusing to me and I understand what it should be, that might be a problem with prospective patients and people who want to engage with us who might give up. Once this gets clarified, just in terms of this data, we'll see an increase in the number of patients that we get from the internet, number of successful conversions that we get from other sources. Here is the Cancer Center. You can see the first 3 months. We didn't have much of a bump at all. It's just very flat, and then it jumped up from 100 to 180 last month, and that's mostly due to clarifying this information for the main data centers that are out there. And then this third section, basically want to make the case to you that the way that people consume information is multimedia and largely video. People are visual. They want to get a sense of the doctors. They want to hear from other patients. If you go to the Cancer Center website, you'll get a good sense of the impact of this. And if you're like me, you probably consume most of your information online through video. So that makes sense. We would probably create over a 6 or 9 month period 250 to 300 videos. That's an enormous amount to get accomplished, but we really focus on it. We can create this content, and this will be a large driver in terms of our rankings and the overall engagement in the website and the quality of the site. We'd also be building mobile sites like this one right here. And this one is, as you can see, is thumb friendly. So if you were to do some searches online and went to the Cancer Center's website, this is what you'd see. Something that's arranged so it's convenient to kind of get around, with a large, strong call to action for the phone number and the video page. And then this is just, I thought, interesting because I think it really did a good job of illustrating what happens online. This what Richard calls, and I agree with him, this two-way conversation. This is a guy named Bob Turner. He went to our website and he basically gave us kind of an endorsement online. And what's interesting is we had a prospective patient, and Bob Turner put in a good word for us, and that created a new patient for the center. So in short, the formula is just creating this optimized content. There's a lot more to this, and if you go to the original proposal, I really break this down in detail. Last things, we will create an entirely new content strategy for the website. We've already started to develop that aesthetically. I'd like to add a lot more multimedia to it before it went live. We'll also create content for review sites, for social, for mobile, in each individual position where they practice. So this is kind of what I call a hyper-local strategy. We'll drive these rankings into each independent practice area. And then the last thing is that we want to make sure that we are communicating with our patients and our prospective patients. Increasingly, third parties want to tell our story. They want to represent you. They want to tell the public who you are as physicians. And in my view, that's just not an optimal strategy. We want to tell our own story. We want to represent to the public who we are, the quality of the practice. And then at the bottom of the proposal, at the very end of this email, we've outlined a couple of different options that we could look at. We've sent Richard some of the business detail, but the bottom line, we view the best approach as a more intensive period at the beginning where we can catch up, create the content, especially create the video content, and get this integrated in a way that starts to put us on the right path, after which we'll have really good data that we can look at and be more targeted and either increase the investment or decrease it based on what the numbers are telling us. So I think this is a very rational approach to move forward. Also, because of our background in urology for the last 3 years in the Florida area, we might be, in some respects, uniquely qualified to help you. I think that we have the track record that suggests that we can do a good job, and we'd be delighted to take the next step with you and put us on this next step strategically together. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to work with you guys. Please let me know what the next steps are, and if you have any questions, I'm available. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.